Prodigy just released a new combat update and it changes a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and look at everything that you need to know about this new update. Right, so the first thing that you will notice is that when you get into a battle, you are going to have a lot more hearts, and so will your opponents. You'll also be doing a lot more damage. As you can see, the Titan has 9,500 health, which is a lot more than it used to have. It only had about 2,000. And then you can see on our spells, there's something called power and something called aim. They pretty much got rid of the 9 power bars or something like that. And you can see spells do a lot more damage. So that did 1,200 damage. And if we use this spell, this used to only do probably about 400 damage to a storm pet. Now it does 800. Pretty much you're going to do a lot more damage. There's also a new mechanic called dodge, which we'll get into later in the video. And dodge pretty much makes it so that you take less damage from spells. So that is pretty much the basics that you need to know for battles for now. Now we're going to get into some of the other stuff that you need to know. Alright, so as you can see, your wizard is no longer weak against physical spells. It is now weak against neutral, which there isn't really any neutral spells in the game besides for an all-out attack, which all-out attacks are no longer listed as neutral. They are listed as physical spells now, and they are no longer able to be used in PvP, which is a very, very good thing. Before, PvP had pretty much been based on whoever could get to their all-out attack first would win the battle, which made its speed pretty much the most important stat in the game. Now it's not as important, but speed really doesn't actually even exist anymore. So as we know, speed determined the order that your pets went in, and it would also give you a higher chance of getting a critical hit. But as you can see, speed no longer exists, and it was replaced with order, which pretty much is the exact same thing as speed. It has the exact same icon, and it determines what order your pets go in. And then they also added a new stat called dodge, which is what we saw inside of that battle. So dodge is going to increase the chances of a spell doing less damage. So as you saw, some of the spells that happened in that battle were dodged, and that meant that they did way less damage. So I believe one of the attacks normally would do about 1,200 damage, but instead I think it only did about 600 damage. Now I'm not sure if it just halves the amount of damage that is done, but that's sort of what it looked like, although I don't think that's the case. Now another thing that you saw, power and aim are now stats that you see inside of your spells, and Cosmic Blessing, which is a healing spell, it now shows the power, which is 22.5%, which I believe is the percentage of health that you're going to gain back. So for example, this Tribeak has 2,632 health, meaning that it would gain about 650 health back, I believe. Now, with this new dodge mechanic, this eliminates misses from the game, so as long as you get a question right, you are not going to miss your attacks anymore, which is something that people had been complaining about before. There had been excellent aim spells, but those had been removed, so now aim doesn't exist in the way that it used to, where if something had like an aim of 80%, that meant that there was an 80% chance that you were going to hit and a 20% chance that you were going to miss. Aim now has to do with the stat dodge in a way. Now, as a result of this update, boots no longer have the speed bonus. Instead, they have a dodge bonus. So the duelist boots, which are one of the best boots in the game, they have a dodge bonus of 255. And then ones like the Nightworm's Talons have a dodge bonus of 275. I believe these are the best boots that you can have in the game. And also, mounts no longer have a speed bonus as well. As a result of this update, they now have a dodge bonus as well. Now, one of the most surprising updates from this update was the removal of bounties from the game. So if you head over here, Bordy is no longer there. and you will see that there are no longer any bounty notes on the bounty board. So they said that the reason that they removed this was because we are aiming to focus more on features that bring more strategy, excitement, and meaningful progression to your adventures. So I think this mostly has to do with progression, because bounties pretty much gave you an easier way to get high level pets. You could get pets that were on a higher level than you or close to the same level as you, which would allow you to get a better team more quickly. I'm assuming that's why they removed it. There's not really any other reason that they removed it. It didn't really seem that overpowered to me, but I guess I could see why people may think that it's overpowered. And then finally, there are sort of some new spells in the game. I wouldn't really call them new spells though. You can only find them on mythical epics and only a few certain mythical epics. So if we go to a pet like Blastar and go into their thing, you can see that they now have a spell called Boss Ion Cannon. Seems like there are some pets that now have spells called boss spells, and these are only going to be on mythical epics, and I assume they'd probably also be on bosses as well. I assume bosses could probably use these, but it doesn't seem like any other pets in the game besides for epics can use these. And one final thing that I want to mention, I believe that Wizard have an order of 85, so anything higher than 85, your pets will go before your Wizard. Anything below 85, you would go after your Wizard. I'm not 100% certain on that. That's just what they made it sound like based on a post they made on the wiki. I'll leave that post linked in the description if you want to read it. Prodigy is also doing an Ask Me Anything on the Prodigy wiki, so if you have any questions, I'll leave a link to that also in the description so that you can learn more about this update. But yeah, that is going to go ahead and end at the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe, and bye.